On episode 257 of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we take a look at the movie Past Lives. Welcome to He Said, She Said movie reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie tastes take a quick, spoiler-free look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
All right, so we just saw Past Lives in the theater. April, what do you give this movie?
The highest movie marks I could give a movie. It was absolutely phenomenal, but I want to just state, if you're not a deep person, if you can't go deep, if you've been unable for whatever reason, skip the movie, you won't get it.
So you're giving this movie a 5?
I am. It was fabulous.
All right, this is where April and I differ. I give this movie 3.5 stars. We'll tell you all about it right after these two trailers. Okay, the first preview we saw is for our theater camp. The eccentric staff of a rundown theater camp in upstate New York must band together with the beloved founder's Broyo son to keep the camp afloat. This has a release date of July 14th of 2023, and it stars Ben Platt, Molly Gordon, and Jimmy Tatro.
I'll let you do Biosphere, too, because you really want to see it.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to see the movie. The second movie is Biosphere, and this is in the not-too-distant future. The last two men on Earth must adapt and evolve to save humanity. This has a release date of July 7th, and it stars Mark Duplass and Sterling K. Brown. I can't wait to see this movie. It looks really good.
Also, just a quick shout out to the Alamo Draft House. We've been in Denver, and they are the most amazing theater. We have had so much fun there. So thank you.
All right, so Past Lives. You want to go with the storyline?
Yeah, I will. The storyline is very simple. Nora and Hae-sung, two deeply committed childhood friends, are pulled apart after Nora's family immigrates from South Korea. Fast forward 20 years later, they are reunited for one fateful week as they confront notions of love and destiny. It's a drama/romance. Shout out to the director, first-time director, Celine song she is known for. This is it. Her first one. She did amazing. Tim, she's also the writer, right?
Yeah, she's also the writer, and she's wrote on the Wheel of Time TV series.
That's right.
And this is her first feature writing credit also.
Well, I already reached out and got a message, which I don't do very often. She's amazing. What about the cast?
I am going to completely butcher all these names, and I apologize up front. So you had Greta Lee, Teo Yo, John Magaro, Moon Seung-ah, Leem Seung-min, Jae Yoon, Won Young Chow, Anna Man Young, and Seo Young Wow.
You did good.
No, I didn't. I did horrible.
Runtime 105 minutes, rated PG-13 for some strong language.
All right.
Okay. The theme and the tone, love and how people come into your life and influence your path. I think that's definitely one theme and tone.
What was the other theme?
I think really and truly in life, it's important to get closure. I think that if you don't know when you need closure, especially in a matter of the heart, it follows and pulls at you forever.
I will say one thing real quickly, that this is going to be a hard movie for us to give you a review, because if you've listened to the podcast for any more length of time, you know April and I do not like to spoil the movie for you. So we're going to try really hard to give you an honest review and not spoil it for you.
Good point. I just want to do a shout out to Greta Lee. The main actress in this movie. She has always been a fine actress, but this movie, she was just amazing. And both of the men, I thought, with Tia Yu and John Magaro, both were fantastic. I think that the acting, I can't tell you enough how real this movie and story is, and how you're pulled in from the minute You sit down, don't expect a quick movie. Don't expect a lot of action or movement. It's a slower movie, and there's a reason.
For me, let me clarify my score, because April gave this movie 5 stars and I gave it 3.5 stars. For me, the story is definitely a 5-star movie. Definitely 5-star. I thought the execution in this movie, that's what brought it down to a 3.5 for me.
And again, that's why it's he said, she said.
Exactly.
We totally disagree with the execution of this movie. I thought it was spot on because, I mean, even the score added to the ambiance of the movie, it was a lot. It's a lot to take in, the story itself. And they did the best they could to communicate it.
Okay.
So what did you think about the cinematography?
I thought the movie was a little bit artsy at time. So you had that kind of artsy cinematography in this. There was really, production design was fine. Nothing spectacular there. Special effects, there was none.
No. Editing was fine. I know you and I disagreed about the pace, too.
Okay, well, this is where, for me, this movie, where the execution part, and I think this comes from a first-time director. Okay, for me, this movie, molasses pouring moved faster than this movie.
Oh.
I think that we could have, and once again, I'm trying not to do a spoiler here, but for me, I didn't need to, and I'm using this as an example because I don't know necessarily that this was a scene in the movie, but for me, I don't need 5 minutes of her making a pot of coffee. There was a lot of this very slow, just showing her looking around a bedroom.
All right.
I mean, that you didn't need to do that.
I understand you feel that way.
You could have put more scenes in the movie instead of having these long scenes that did nothing to move the story along.
I felt like it was a lot to unpack. So as she was making coffee, I'm sitting there thinking about the scene before. I'm also thinking about where her head is, where his head is. So for me, who normally I don't like, slow movies or slow scenes, I thought it was perfect. I mean, again, I think this director just did a great job. So.
Well, like you said, that's why it's he said, she said.
That's it.
So editing, nothing special there.
It was fine. The dialogue, simplistic at times. I understand, your thinking on that. I thought there could have maybe been more words, but I think that's the point of the movie.
Yeah. Another thing, too, is that this movie, about 2/3 of it is in Korean.
Yeah.
So for 2/3 of the movie, you have to read subtitles.
You're right about that.
And once again, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know that I'm not a big fan of subtitles. Didn't bother me at all in this movie.
Which is great. And the story arc was so satisfying.
Yeah. This is one of those movies, and this is where I agree with April. And our daughter was with us, too, when we saw this, by the way. And if Hope was here talking, she would be giving this movie 5 stars, too. I think she might have even given it 6 out of 5. She loved this movie. Oh. And she did cry a little bit at the end of this movie. But anyways... the story was very satisfying.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to say it's a very deep movie. And if you go about life in more of a surface manner and aren't super deep and can't or won't or refuse to go there, I'm telling you, skip the movie. This is about heavy emotion, and usually love is, but it's also about matters of the heart, which require self-inspection. It requires understanding other people. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean,
and I get that. And I agree with you about this movie. For me, the execution was just a little painful. Yeah. And this is a movie, going back to the story arc, this is what I was going to say when I interrupted you, was this is a movie that will haunt you.
Oh, gosh,
and you will think about for days. And we've had multiple discussions about this movie.
Yeah, several people reached out to me that saw it earlier. And they were still talking, still thinking about it. And to me, that's my favorite kind of movie. I don't like it when it's so sad, like Casey a flick.
Oh, that Manchester by the Sea. Yeah.
I mean, that disturbed me in so many different ways for so long for different reasons. But this one, thinking about it, and I'm glad my daughter saw it. I think it's a really good movie for 20-somethings because you need to understand where your heart is at all times. So.
Absolutely. All right. Well, one other thing, I think that I wish this movie had been released later in the year.
Yeah.
And I just say that because I always think about the award season. And I think this is a movie that could and should be in the award circuit come, the winter time.
Good point.
And I don't know that it will be because it was released earlier in the year. So anyways, this is Past Lives. April gives this movie 5 stars.
I sure do.
And I give it 3.5 just because I thought it was really slow. But
it's going to be worth your time.
Yeah.
It's a story about love, friendship, also about just kind of a love that sticks by you no matter what. I mean, I think it's worth seeing.
And see this movie with somebody you love. Okay. All right.
Yes, most definitely. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all the time. Shout out to the 3 new countries that we're in a much more larger way than we were before. I appreciate you. Australia. We grew again in India. And what do you think about all the following in England, Tim?
I think it's fantastic, and we appreciate every one of you.
Thank you so much. We'll see you at the movies. Stay happy and healthy.
See you at the movies.